Imagine somebody watching our stuff right now is going to be inspired to do something like that, and they can take it to a whole nother level.
I hope so.
I think the best way to describe it now is like almost like being a recruiter, recruiting talent.
My objective walking out of that interview was to ensure that I ask the questions that I know the community wants to hear asked, right?
Wow, that's not the answer I was expecting. You actually got me genuinely laughing right now. Is $1,000 in one card worth more than $1,000 in 20 cards?
Man, that's tough. It depends on what's your play.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for being here on Monday. I'm excited. And I'm excited because I have Rob, the sports card therapist here. So I'm going to bring him in right now. What's up, Rob?
FD from Rolling with FD. What's going on, man? I'm happy to be here, man. I'm feeling good.
So let's jump into this, right? We're going to go with some questions here.
Let me just jump in real quick, FD. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take over already, but man, I love that intro music. That little
yeah.
Oh, that just screams mid-90s West Coast
right
there.
That's what I wanted to do.
Screams West Coast.
You're feeling that. You're getting that. It's hitting you yeah. That's
Absolutely.
what I wanted to do. Because it was all about, you talk about Dre, it was all about those backgrounds. What's hitting other than the beat. I get into James Brown music and everything being on the one. Horns, percussion, everything being on the one. I think that's why Dre was so cool, because he took the beat, but also gave you something else that would tantalize your ears a little bit. His beats are very different. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Listen, he was, obviously from, coming from the world class wrecking crew and stuff, Dr. Dre, because he was a surgeon with the beats, man. He was doing everything, and I don't think it mattered what genre of music he ended up going in. He was going to make history, and he did. It's like everything he touches just turns to gold. I wish he would release music more often, but that's a different story.
I really do too. I think it would be a pleasure to hear what he's thinking about coming with now. I even wish he just produced more people. Even if he said, I'm not going to do music myself. Just give us some more jams, right?
I remember when he dropped Chronic 2001, 1999, and aside from his album, he was producing a lot from like 97 to like 01, 02. You think about him executive producing the Firm album, then he was producing beats for Eve, all that Eve beat. Remember, what I'm talking about? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like he was doing compilation albums. He was really in the zone in those few years. He was doing all Eminem stuff, Snoop stuff. Oh, it was phenomenal. But I agree.
Dre was supposed to sign Eve, but then he ended up signing Eminem.
So,
and then Eve went down the Rough Rider path.
So yes, I had always heard rumors. I knew that him and Eve, they were working on something, just like Dre and Busta Rhymes, like Aftermath. I think really took on went through like 3 different phases before it really found its footing in like 99, 2000. Because you remember the Aftermath compilation album that he came out with in 96. That was supposed to be his Chronic Part 2, but that album basically flopped. And then he was like, okay, maybe I need to go east and work with Nas, and so he tried to do that. And but yeah, he definitely went through a period where he was really trying to find himself in between Death Row and Chronic 2001.
Yep. I'm pretty sure on the legal side, he was probably trying to find artists that had no connection at all to some other people. And so when you get out of your zone of who you're working with, it probably was difficult for him on the creative end,
Yeah, I mean, everyone in the West Coast was basically connected with Suge, and I'm sure that's who you're, referring to. Everyone was either connected to him or was scared of who he was
That's right.
connected to, and so almost like Ice Cube did in the early '90s, he went east and hooked up with Public Enemy, right? That's
Mhm.
like almost what Dre had to do with the Firm, with Nas and stuff, and he was kind of trying to, but then he always knew though, like I need Snoop. So then when he ended up reconnecting with Snoop, that's when you know
That's when things
that
took off.
oh yeah, man, absolutely. That was magic right there. And I think that's why it was so incredible that the Super Bowl show happened the way it did. And I don't know if you saw the Snoop Drink Champs interview, but that was a phenomenal interview. He talked all about I think it was like a 2-hour interview, and he just talked all about their history and about how the Super Bowl show, came about, and what it was like getting the calls and what rehearsal was like. It was pretty good, man. I love all that behind the scenes stuff. Like I love the music stuff, but I really love the behind the scenes stuff.
Well, what's cool about the Super Bowl show is how much of an investment Dre made into that show. I mean, he made that show happen.
Tell me more about that.
Oh, he had a personal investment in the show. So
I heard that. Did he actually put up money? Like he owned a chunk of like, right? I think did he not get paid so that he could own the rights to the streaming of the yeah.
That's
That's
very
and that's pretty cool.
very intelligent move.
Yeah. And I'm curious, like now that Snoop took over Death Row and he yanked all the music off of all the platforms, and he's saying he's trying to make it strictly like an NFT label, and he's going to come out with his own Death Row app, so you have to actually buy the app or have a membership to the app in order to stream that music. I'm kind of curious to see where that's going to go, if it's going to end up like kind of failing and he ends up back on Apple Music, or if he ends up becoming like setting the bar for what everyone ends up doing.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, Jay-Z has done something like that. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
I think everybody wants some ownership of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? They want to cut out a lot of layers that's getting paid, and they want to get paid. I mean, they're creating the content.
And I think that's a cool part about doing the content creation, right? That like you do and that I do. It's like it's we truly are like CEO of our own brands, and we can really decide what we want to do, how we want to do it. Now, maybe the money's not coming just yet, or maybe for some people it is, but just to be able to have that kind of control over creatively what you want to do. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It's very cool to me. Just the brainstorming on stuff and how some things just come to you that you really want to do. Those are the things that I like. So let's talk about some content, right?
Yeah.
So when you're, and we don't, I'm not going to ask you to name people, but when you're seeking out content that you want to watch, what are some of the characteristics that you're looking for? Some of the check off boxes that you're kind of looking for, what you want to see.
FD, let me tell you something. That's the first time anyone's ever asked me that or anything.
Come with it, man. Come with it. Gotta keep it real.
You know
what? This is one of the main questions that, Rob, when you were coming on, the stuff that you do with Slap Talk and your content is, I wanted to ask you this question.
I appreciate that.
And this is the first time I've asked this question.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh man, it was meant to be. I tell you, I think someone needs to come across authentic, and I love, and that sounds like a cliche answer, right? But I want to feel like I believe what they're saying. I want to feel like they're being sincere. I want to feel like they're being their true authentic self. I don't want to feel like anyone's trying to sell me something. I don't want to feel like what do I think? Like, I feel like he's a used car salesman trying to shove this down my throat. You know what I mean? Like in a way. So like, even when it comes to politics, right? When it comes to politics, I find myself being very much in the middle, and I don't listen to any one of the mainstream news stations. I'm not listening to CNN. I'm not listening to Fox News. I'm trying to kind of get my sources from various places, and I'm trying to make up my own mind, because so like when it comes to cards, I'm not listening to just an investor. I'm not listening to just a collector. I think I'm listening to what maybe kind of what I can identify with. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I get it. I get
yeah.
what you're saying.
What about you? Well, I mean, that's a great question. What checks off the boxes for you?
Someone telling that story, and the story is consistent. We know that the market changes, but I've been collecting for years. I don't know if my perspective on cards has changed. There are certain things that I look for today, 2022, that I was looking for in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's the same kind of, and I'm gonna be looking for it in the future. You know, I go through a process of looking at. We're talking about athletes, so I'm gonna look at the athlete and find out who they really are. I've known personally. I've known people that have played in the NBA. I've talked to NBA players after they've been there. I know many people that have played in the NFL. I know people who have boxed professionally and amateur status. There are many people that, and I think I've never talked about this, right? When I talk about eye tests, there are many athletes that I've seen participating in stuff, prepping for stuff, and how they go about doing their thing, to where I know what to look for when it comes to an athlete in their respective sport. Now, I didn't go pro. I'm good with that. But I've watched people develop around me or someone that I was playing against. And I always said this when I was in college, right? I always said this. If someone goes to the NFL, they were supposed to go to the NFL. I've never played against someone that went to the league and you're sitting around like, because I've known some guys who went D1 that really weren't D1. You know, but they had the 6'3", they had a certain 40, but they're not really that kind of wide receiver. But when you go to the NFL, you're on another level. When you go to the NBA, you're on another level. I went to school with a guy, I've told this story before, who rode the bench with Michigan during the Jalen Rose, Chris Webber era. Rode the bench, man.
Fab Five.
We went to a rec center and played basketball. This guy was Michael Jordan that day. He was hitting threes, posting people up, dunking on folks. And I think everybody out there should know that if someone has went to a big program, most likely, or if they definitely play professionally at a sport, they're not the normal person walking around. So if you're at a park and you see you got a pickup game with some guy you never knew that played with the 76ers, you better watch out. They're built differently. They do different things. So then I'm looking for that in the eye test when I see someone playing. And then there's the word that starts with C and ends with Y, right? I'm looking for consistency. And if you're not really a consistent player and you're not playing at a high level when the stage is yours, then I don't know if I'm collecting what there. I don't know. So maybe I'll scrutinize myself just a little bit more. And there's really only certain athletes. If you think about the last 10 to 20 years in each respective sport, we hear about a lot, but there's only really certain athletes that are game changers in their sport.
So let me ask you, what do you think? What's the equivalent of making the NFL when it comes to content creation?
What's the equivalent of making the NFL?
Yeah. So how do you know when you're creating content? What's kind of like the benchmark? Like, where do you? At what point are you
Great
like,
question.
whoa, something's happening here? This is taking off.
Are you saying something? And are you showing by example?
Well, I think there's a lot of people there's probably a lot of content creators that do that, right? But there might only be 5 people watching them.
Yeah, but this is a great segment right now, right? Because I have some thoughts.
Yeah.
So if only 5 people watch, let's say you create some content. I create some content. Person X creates some content. It's valuable. Teaches something. Leads by example. It's something that you would show anyone. Sit down and watch. They can learn from it. It only gets 5 views. There's other content that may not teach much, someone can't come into the hobby or come into whatever situation it may be. Because I watch stuff about fishing, I watch all kind of stuff. And if that person looks at that and it helps them develop in whatever they're trying to do, but it doesn't do that on this end. The other end it did. 5 people watched. On this end, it really doesn't do that. But 2,000 people watch. What's good content there?
I agree. And I mean, I think it's all, you know, I guess it's perception, right? But
Yeah.
so what I'm curious what it takes to, and I guess you can say this as being a collector too, right? Like what is it to, I think when you truly love the hobby and you love what you're collecting and you're not out chasing the next big card, I mean, that's probably that's the holy grail of being a collector in the hobby, right? Is just loving what you're collecting and stuff. And
Yep.
but
No matter what level, market level, loving what you collect.
Yeah. Shout out to Erica.
That's right,
I
right?
love what you collect, you know.
Erica in the house. Yeah.
Oh shoot. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the gems, man. It's almost like when there's a real movie that comes out that's really speaking to something, right? There's only so many people that watch that movie. Sometimes people may look for an escape from reality on stuff. I don't know, but it all depends on and that's I think what's so cool about content creation is that you can make it what you want it to be. You have a paintbrush, blank canvas. You can make whatever you want to talk about. But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, sometimes I think about stuff. You know, I don't know if views are the whole story. If just like we go to sports, right? Westbrook was averaging a triple-double. I don't know if he's the best point guard of all time because he averaged a triple-double. I think those are some indicators or something.
So what I hear you saying is men lie, women lie, numbers lie.
It all depends on who's watching, what's going, you know, what's in that person's mind. What are they looking for? I think somebody just said here. Hold on, let me find this quote. I'm honestly not here to learn, just listen. But as Baker Boy is here not to learn, there could be somebody else here that is to learn. What are they looking for?
Yeah, and I guess, you know, I think about when I listen to podcasts, I don't know if I always listen to learn. I don't know if I, you know, when I'm consuming content, sometimes I'm just looking for some junk food for the brain, you know, and when I'm really in my bag with cards, I just want to consume content. When I'm like in it hardcore, in it heavily, I just want to consume content. I don't care if I'm learning something or not. Sometimes I just want to be entertained, right? I don't always want to watch a documentary. Sometimes I want to watch a sitcom.
That's right. Like Pete says here, it's a tough thing to be both entertaining and informative.
Yeah,
it is
absolutely.
it's very tough. That's true. So tell me now, Rob, how did you get involved in the hobby? When did you start collecting?
I tell you, my story, you can pretty much copy and paste and most people's story and kind of put me in right there. So I'm a 90s baby. I grew up in a junk wax era. I was a huge junk wax collector, huge Ken Griffey Jr. super collector, Don Mattingly super collector, Joe Montana, Michael Jordan. I used to have hundreds of Jordan cards in my binder. You know, I just flipped my binder and I just had hundreds of them. And you know, probably around 95, 96, you know, when I was like 12, 13, you know, discovered girls, put down cards, and you know, just kind of went on about my life. And in about 2010, I came back in the hobby for about 6 months or a year, but I didn't treat it how I'm treating it now. I'm taking it serious now. When I came back in 2010 for a year, what I did was I really fell in love with eBay for cards, and I was just buying up lots of all of my old collectives. So I was buying up huge lots of Joe Montana, Michael Jordan junk, all junk wax basically, because I didn't have any of my cards from childhood. So basically, I just wanted to get back all my cards from childhood.
Okay.
So then I came back in the hobby in end of 2019, beginning of 2020. I had no idea, zero clue whatsoever that that the hobby was blowing up again. I had no idea, but I knew I was getting into podcasts, and I loved podcasts, and I was just consuming podcasts. I was listening to whether if it was like true crime, or I was listening to like court readings, like I don't know if you ever hear of what's the YouTube channel? It's like Court TV or something like that, where basically they take all the trials and transcripts from like drug dealer trials, and they like read them for like an hour.
Very investigative mind.
Oh yeah. So then I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna see if there's probably not any sports cards podcasts, but I'm gonna look. And I ended up finding a couple and just completely binged all of that. And I truly feel like I owe it to podcasts that completely lit the fuse in my soul for cards again. And every time I deal with cards now on a daily basis, I feel like a 10-year-old again, and I absolutely love it. It is pure nostalgia for me.
That's a beautiful part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you had been collecting for years. Did you have a break in between childhood and?
Oh yeah, I had it's all wrapped around like school or work. So yeah, I had breaks when I was first starting college. Had some breaks doing like some work times for like 2 or 3 years. But throughout everything, I was still collecting autographs.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Me too.
I never really had a break on autographs, really, but I did have a break on cards.
So when you say you were collecting autographs,
like Luka was a rookie. There are certain things that happen where, again, I'm watching people, and then I just start browsing eBay. Like, man, this guy looks like he can play. Oh, let me just see what his cards are selling. What does his cards know? So there were different times in life where certain things would bring me back. I remember when Tim Duncan was a rookie. I was
97.
Yeah, I was trying to finish college, so my energy went into walking across the stage, and then with Kobe, Tim Duncan, Garnett is when I kind of took a break, and then after Duncan is when I kind of came back. So there's just certain things.
That was only a year. That was only a year or two.
Yeah, it's like 2-year break. So you're moving or you're doing something, and then you take a break, and then you come back to, yeah. So there were points in time. That's why I tell everybody. Almost everybody takes a break at some point for various reasons. It's nothing to feel bad about. Just a part of life. Then you come back to something and enjoy it even more.
Now tell me about rolling with FD. Why rolling with FD? Why not hanging? Why not chilling? Why rolling?
Great question. So I wanted to, when I started thinking about creating a YouTube channel, I wanted a name that was all inclusive, that brought people together. That was a focus to me. It's all about bringing people together. Even right now, it's all about. It's going to stay that way, Rob. It's all about bringing people together and getting different perspectives on stuff and talking through things. And so that's why I wanted rolling. It came to me as I was taking a shower, Rob. I'm just thinking about what would I like to call this that is very inclusive. And when I came out the shower, I was like, rolling with FD. I told several people here, we're going to call it rolling with FD. And because of what I wanted it to be.
Yeah, love it, man. Love it. And let me say, man, like I love how, I tell you, the one video that stuck out to me of yours, and I've commented on it multiple times, and you probably already know what I'm going to say. The video, you were at a festival outside, and the Timberland and Magoo "Love to Love You" song was on.
That's right.
What was that?
I used to love that song. I used to love that. And then know the undertone beat it at is James Brown.
Is it?
Oh yeah, that's a James Brown song. They almost like didn't even change. I think they changed a little bit of the thump of the bass, but that whole rhythmic section is like almost to the T a James Brown track.
Oh man,
I'm gonna
I
send
love
you.
it.
I'll send you after this. I'll send you the original song,
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah,
you'll still
definitely.
be bobbing your head like, man, this is hitting from the '70s.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
yeah,
is
yeah.
so that song bring almost whenever someone samples James Brown, I'm on that.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I think
But
that's
yeah,
just I've been trying to, and we've talked here. I just like to have fun at times. And I think when we first started the channel, I was very focused on the content creation part and not really showing people who I am. You know, so we would talk sometimes and people here would tell me like you got to show people more of who you are, like who you actually are. And like that what you're talking about right there is just that's me at a function if music is playing or it's you're there to have fun and enjoy yourself. I think when we first started, I was very concentrated on what is my brand, how do I represent myself, and what am I talking about. And then I
yeah,
think I was probably so into the card side. Let me negotiate. When you saw me at a show, let me talk about the cards. Uh, you'll probably see a little bit of difference now when I'm kind of pulling back and showing you more of even how I interact at a show beyond just talking about a card. But I take the negotiation process really seriously, though. It's something that I really enjoy. Negotiating with people is something I enjoy on many levels.
I tell
It's a
you, and
strategy, right? You're thinking about different things. It's like
I
chess.
think that's probably one of the biggest things that can become not only intoxicating but addicting in this hobby is the art of the transaction,
Yeah,
the
man.
art of the negotiation. I could, just to piggyback off what you're saying, my wife and I, we've been together now 14 years, coming up on 15 years in October, and I could remember like going to flea markets with her, and I'm about to buy something for $5, and in my head, I already know if this person's not going to give it to me for 4, I'm going to negotiate down to 4. But if they're not going to give it to me for 4, I'm walking away. And it's
Mhm.
just like the art of the negotiation. It's just like and it's not to get over on anyone. It's just the engaging. It's the
No, it's not to
challenge.
get over on anyone. It's never been about getting over on anyone. It's that engagement. It's the conversation. It's the strategy talk. Never been about trying to get over on someone. There have been people that come up to me. I've told people before who have had some cards that they're trying to sell me, and they're really undervaluing the card for themselves. And I've told people, I can't do that to you. That's not.
Mm.
Let me show you the comp on this. Like I can't do that. It's just not how I roll.
Well, and I tell you, I think, being on the content creation side, and here we are trying to establish our brand, it really does, I think, almost force you to be as honest and kind as possible. I know not everyone follows that rule, but it's like, I know what's in my heart. I know I try to lead with kindness, and I try to lead with all that good stuff. But yeah, like in a weak moment, I might tell someone to go F themselves, but I don't want to do that, because what that can do, that one brief second, can completely like torpedo what I feel like I've been able to build with Sports Card Therapist over the last year. So it's like I need to remember to be kind. I need to remember, like, just stay consistent. And like you said, consistency starts with a C, ends with a Y. Consistency. And I think if you're being your true authentic self, consistency is not that difficult.
I agree. So now you're a therapist.
Yes.
Right? So what have you, when we talk about FOMO, how do you, when I hear, when FOMO comes up, do you think that affects a lot of purchases, decisions? How does it affect the hobby overall? Because I think about this on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to be left out of anything? And I think that's something that's been absolutely one of the big downsides of social media, right? Is that whole keeping up with the Joneses, fear of missing out. You know, I could remember, and I don't know if this is fully answering your question, but I can remember during the big boom, you know, a year ago, 18 months ago, I could remember just overpaying for cards left and right. You know, it's like if someone asked me what my biggest L is, you know, I have probably about 50 L's from the last year or so that I can think of, just overpaying for cards, especially with the hobby, because
Well,
the
just so
hobby,
people know, right? This was a time that if you don't buy on Monday, by the next Monday, that card price could be 2, 3 times what you saw the previous Monday.
definitely, definitely. And I don't know if this was the truth or if it was just in my tunnel vision world, but I almost felt like there were certain cards that were impossible to get. Like I
Oh,
couldn't
they were.
find certain
Oh, yeah.
cards. Like I would be looking on eBay, couldn't find it. I could remember someone messaging me and saying, "Hey, I know you were looking for a 96 Topps Kobe Bryant rookie base. I actually have a PSA 6 coming in. Do you want me to hold it for you?" And I was like, "Hold it for me." PSA 6. I was like, "Hold it for me. I don't have one at the moment. Yeah, hold it for me." And I remember paying probably what a PSA 9's going for right now,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just like
That
because
was a very popular. That was a very popular card though during that time.
it was,
Very
yeah.
popular card.
It's Kobe's probably his most iconic card, right? Is there
Yeah, yeah. The poles. I mean that and the chrome. Yeah, that's the card that most people, unless you want to get into the EX stuff with the green border, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
on a
yeah.
whole other level. But I would think the most probably exchange card people are talking about is that Topps card.
So I actually, and if anyone's watching live now, you can go to my story and actually look. I just today, probably about 6 hours ago, posted the Kobe Topps Chrome
Oh,
card.
I saw. Yeah.
Yep, the BGS 95. I posted that. I just picked it up at a show Saturday, and it's already gone. You know, I had a friend, and this is a great lesson that I started to actually post in my story, and I'm like, I don't think anyone cares about this, so I'll save it for my pod, but I'll say it here. Like today, I was at a show Saturday in Long Island, Hofstra University. It's a huge show. The
Mhm.
place was just mobbed, and I saw a guy who's become a friend in the hobby, Reservoir Cards on Instagram, and so I'm messaging with the back and forth, I'm like, "Hey man, how was your show?" He's like, "Good. How was yours?" And we were just kind of DMing back and forth, and I go, "Dude, this is too much. You just want to call me real quick?" And he's like, "Sure." I've only talked to him on the phone like 3 or 4 times ever, but we ended up talking for like 45 minutes, and then by the end of the phone call, I was under the impression that he had a Patrick Mahomes he was trying to move, and I was like, "I might be interested in that Mahomes. You want me to send you some cards that I have?" He's like, "Sure." Because he told me he was looking for a Kobe, and just like that, we ended up doing an exchange. I gave him my Kobe Topps Chrome BGS 95. I gave him the Durant Topps Chrome BGS 95 rookie. That's around 900 right now. The Kobe though, the Kobe on Saturday, the comps were 5K. An auction just ended yesterday. It dropped the comp to 4K. So I literally lost $1,000 on that card in 2 days. But regardless, so I gave him the Kobe, the Durant, and 2K cash, and I got from him.
Let's see.
And I got from him the Mahomes 2017 encased rookie auto with jersey relic. So yeah, it's the
And so everybody knows, right? That autograph is not how you sign it now. You know, I get into the autograph.
that is very true.
Yeah. That's what makes that card different. That entire year is different.
And if you look, this is a 2019 auto of his.
That's right.
You
Put
can
them side
tell
by
the
side.
difference.
Yeah, see that? So when you're walking and you looking at the card, that just jumps out at me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I tell you, man, I have just been, I feel like truly, it took me a good year and a half back in the hobby of kind of like growing pains, and I'm truly finding my way in the hobby now, and I think figuring out my how I'm gonna level up, right?
Well,
Because
okay, let's talk about level up because you've been moving up in card values
yes,
with a strategy.
absolutely.
Can you speak
Yeah,
on that?
yeah, definitely. So, I don't know what it is. It's like probably like my first 6 months back, I bought all crap. I bought nothing but crap. I mean, like I was listening to podcasts and I would hear someone talk about Prism cracked ice. And literally, as I'm listening to the podcast, I'm going on eBay, typing in cracked ice, auctions that end soonest, and then literally bidding on every single one of them. I probably spent over $400 on common cards, common players, cracked ice. Like, so I went through these kind of weird growing pains of like thinking I wanted something, fear of missing out, FOMO, like all that stuff. And then slowly, what I started doing was buying cards that meant a lot to me, but also might hold their value. So I would buy a card for like $200 that I figured might hold their value. So basically, every week I was probably spending about 200 to 300 on cards. So a month I was kind of putting a grand in, a grand in, a grand in kind of thing. And slowly just started leveling up, slowly started making bigger and bigger moves. And yeah, just, I ended up with, I'll tell the story quick for anyone that hasn't heard. I ended up with probably about 4 or 5 cards that were around 10 grand each, right? And I started setting up at shows, which has been a huge, oh my god, let me tell you, the two biggest things that I've done to level up, in my opinion, is have the podcast and set up at shows. So anyways, so I end up with, pretty decent collection, maybe worth around like 50 grand, and I have like 4 cards that are valued around 10 grand each. I have these guys walk up to my table about 3 months ago and they're like, listen, we like your cards. You have some nice stuff here. For your top 4 cards, we'll pay you 75% right now and we'll give you cash. And I was like, whew, that kind of blew my mind there. I'm like, so they ended up giving me 28 grand cash. 28 grand cash. I'm like,
And
oh
this
my
happens
God.
at shows. I tell people, I've seen it. I've been standing there. This happens at shows.
Unbelievable. And I did an episode on my podcast, Sports Card Therapist, probably about 4 or 5 months ago, and I called it "Participation is Required." And really, I broke it down. In my opinion, I broke down the hobby in about like five kind of pieces of the pie. One was being engaged and active on social media. One was like local card shows. One was I can't think off the top of my head, but it was like 5 really nice pies. And one of them was going to shows. One of them was like the importance of going to shows. And you can succeed in this hobby by not going to shows. You can succeed in this hobby by maybe not being on social media, but you probably need at least 4 out of 5 of those segments of the pie. So anyway, so these guys come up, they offer me 75% comps. So on my 4 cards, and I'm like, oh my God. Okay, like screw it, I'll take it. So I ended up making 28K plus I made like another 7K in sales. So I had like 35K. I'm like, holy crap, what am I going to do with this? And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to spend it on just 2 cards. So I ended up buying a Jason Tatum Flawless RPA Gold. And I bought a John Morant RPA National Treasures Bronze out of 49. They're both the vertical or horizontal versions. The vertical ones are the ones that are more valuable. So I bought the horizontal ones because that's what I could afford. So, and then I actually just flipped both of them. So the Tatum I bought about 6 weeks ago. I bought it for 7K and I flipped it for 13K cash. So I almost completely doubled my money in like 6 weeks.
These are real stories, people. Real stories.
Crazy. Then
in what someone will call a down market. Let's keep on.
Definitely. So then the job, and let me tell you how long it took. It took me about a year and a half to make it up into those 4 cards that I sold. So it's not like I just have it like that and I'm like, oh, yeah, Rob just had it like that. Like he's got money. Like, no, like I it took me a year and a half to acquire those 4 cards of working
But,
and grinding every day.
but here on What's the Play, I talk about a lot the patience involved with making certain moves and the patience that you need with your strategy. So I'm glad that you talked about timeline because I think more and more people that I come in contact with at shows or I talk to about the hobby, I end up talking to them about patience because the market has to make some moves, right? You bought a card at X amount. The market has to allow that card to appreciate in value for you to pull more out to be able to make moves for yourself. So
yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, so and it was just kind of like right timing. It was like I bought both of these cards at the end of February. So I think the NBA, like usually a little bit after the All-Star break, the NBA kind of goes through like a little lull, like this little down period where like no one's people aren't really talking about it. Like it's kind of like, you know, Super Bowl's over, March Madness is coming up. It's kind of like basketball for a brief moment gets put on the back burner as people are gearing up for playoffs. So I got the Jason, and let me tell you something. I spent hours, days hunting down these 2 cards, not because that I knew that's what I wanted, but I was searching for the absolute best bang for my buck that I could get. So basically 18 months of daily grinding on cards got me this lump sum of like 28K cash. That's basically what happened. So I buy this Ja Morant for 7K, or no, I buy the Jason Tatum for 7K, and then I bought the Ja Morant for 17.5. I wasn't sure if I was nuts. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with those cards, but I knew that people that knew their stuff were like, Rob, that's a good play. Like, that's good. So I was like, I felt good about it. So within 6 weeks, I sold the Tatum that I bought for 7, sold it for 13, almost 100% profit, almost double my money. Then this last Saturday, which was just 2 days ago, 2 days ago, I had someone come up to my table. That Ja Morant that I paid 17.5 for, you know how much I sold it for?
I'm gonna say 34.
You are good. 34.5. FD, man, you are the man for even guessing that. I cannot believe that you guessed that within $500. So yeah, so I got 34.5 for it. So I literally doubled my money on both of those investments. So I'm like, you know what? It's not because I'm the smartest man in the world that I doubled that. It's a little combination of everything. I think the fact that I'm really learning the hobby, I'm really learning the market, I'm really learning the cycles. The cycles are important. So you know what I did with both of those cards money. So basically, I had about 44K in cards and cash to play with. Okay. So you know what I started doing? Hold on. I'm grabbing a handful right now for you.
Go ahead. I want to see this.
And listen, you're hearing it and seeing it here first on Rolling with FD, because I haven't even talked about these cards that I've been buying to the extent that I have. I was waiting probably a couple weeks. So probably in the next couple weeks, that's when I want to start kind of talking about the plays I made. But so at the show, I bought this National Treasure rookie auto jersey relic Mahomes. This is about 10K. Bought that. I'm hoping that I can probably flip that. I'm hoping I can flip that for maybe 15 to 20 at National. We'll see though. Bought this encased rookie auto that I showed you guys before.
With that slab mag, got the slab mag on it.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. Then hold on. Hold on. I'm sorry about that.
I'm gonna take time.
Then, started buying up because here's the thing. I'm going all in on football this last month because I know the way that cycles work, and football probably, as of right now, probably only have about 2 to 3 weeks left before prices start skyrocketing. The NFL draft is coming up. NBA playoffs, teams are starting to get eliminated. People, even though basketball's still going to be hot until after the finals, I think when people's teams start getting eliminated, they start looking to like football. So got the Josh Allen Immaculate RPA.
Nice. Multiple colored patches there.
Another Josh Allen Immaculate RPA.
Mm-hmm.
National Treasure Josh Allen rookie auto colossal. So I'm just trying to load up PSA 10 and as much football as I can. You know, Trevor Lawrence, as much football as I can, and I'm going all in. Like, I really want to leave National with 0 football, and I'm hoping I can turn that into about 100K. That's my goal, is to turn that into about 100K. And if I can do that, I want to put that 100K into maybe 1 card, maybe 2 cards, then boom, start fresh again.
Well, let's go back here. Pete's made a comment here that I was thinking. You played off Tatum and Ja. Now these two basketball players are making big strides in their career.
They're playing lights out.
Yeah. Tatum has grown. I think when he came out, they say he was 6'7". Now he's close to 6'9", 6'10".
Get out of here. He's still growing when he came into the league?
Well, you know, he only played how many years he played in college?
Wow.
You know the average guy stops growing at 23.
Okay.
Oh yeah. When you see these guys come out, even in the NFL, these guys are still growing, still developing.
Yeah.
You see a guy coming after 1 year of college basketball, he has a lot. Just think about how much Anthony Davis grew when he came out of Kentucky compared to now. So these guys are still developing. And you pick 2 players. I think that's the thing that I want to pull out of this, right? The players that you picked to go all in on. It just makes sense all the way around because of what they're doing. And how they lead their teams. And those are the things I started looking for. You know, can you lead that team? Can you do something? I made a statement the other day that Poole is playing very well for Golden State. Very well.
Yeah.
His card prices to me should be going up. I mean, this guy, he's doing his thing. But there's going to become a point in his career where people are going to say, okay, Clay is probably retiring or moving on. Steph is probably getting to a point where he's going to retire. If Poole is still there, he's going to lead that team. Now, he's got some talent already on the team that we know about. Kuminga, Wiseman is there. There's some players. They're going to have more. But when you start seeing these young players take steps of leadership, they're taking the last shot. They're playing defense. They're blocking someone else's shot in the last 15 seconds of the game. Those are difference makers.
And I think you make some absolute great points. I think for me, the reason why I would not invest in Poole is because, and now if you love them, then collect them, right? If you love them, you love them. But the reason why I wouldn't put my money with Poole is because as long as Steph is there, Poole will never be first option. And, you know, and you see what Scottie Pippen prices command. Mm-hmm. And no one's ever going to be Scottie Pippen.
I agree.
So
that's why I was saying that as soon as these players are done, the lens of the NBA is going to look at this guy and say, what are you about to do now?
You think so? You think Poole's going to be, you think Poole can be a top 5 player?
Yeah, I don't know if he can. That's what I'm saying. But somebody, the viewers of the NBA are going to be looking for him to, if he does it or not. That's when his card prices, I believe, would then go to the next level or not go to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah.
But absolutely. The 2 players that you picked, they're already showing that they want that.
And I tell you, I don't prospect. I never, and not that for me, buying Ja and Tatum were prospecting, even though I think to the average viewer, they'd be like, that's not prospecting. Those guys are already all-stars. Like, that's not prospecting. But for me, I'm someone that I like to put my money with the GOATs. when I'm collecting, I'm a fan of the GOATs. I'm a fan of iconic rookie cards. So, when it comes to, it took a lot for me to invest in Tatum and Ja. Even though I believed in them, obviously, I believed in them, and I believed in the collectability factor of those high-end cards, flawless and national treasures. When you buy into something like that, I don't think you can't question the collectability of those kind of cards. So, but still, I like to put my money with GOATs, and so it was risky, man. I was pretty nervous about putting my money with those guys, but to see.
Yeah, and the times that I've bought a higher value card, that's not an easy decision, man. Ooh, that thing is stressful. That's not an easy decision.
Man.
People look and say, "Oh man, that's cool." He bought that card, but man, I go through a lot of okay. I'm gonna do my research, then I'm gonna walk away for a day or so, and then I'm gonna come back and just gut check myself. Like, is this really what I should be doing? Then you gotta make your play.
You know what helps though with for me with not overthinking these things too much is, first of all, I usually go with my gut. I try not to overthink things. I try not to mull things over. I can usually trust my gut. Sometimes I'm wrong, but if my gut is saying do it, I usually just do it. But when it comes to this card money, doesn't it sometimes feel like Monopoly money? Like
It
it
does.
it it almost doesn't feel real. And because so at the show, right? I'm at Hofstra, and it's like I think about how much money I have in my actual checking account, and then the fact that Hofstra, I did like 45K in sales on Saturday. Like, what? But it's like that money's already spent. I literally already spent almost all of that money already. And it's like, eh, it's like, I might as well just put it right back in the cards, whereas like, that any kind of sane person would be like, well, you should probably put that over here, or you should probably pay on that, or you should probably, and it's like, no, you know what? I'm just gonna keep this in cards. And something that I tell my wife too is I'm like, listen, if I start taking money out of cards, like because you want me to buy you this or buy you that, like eventually that card money is gonna run out. So, like as long as I have faith in where I'm putting the money, as long as I have faith in what I'm doing with the art of the transaction, then, we'll be good. Have faith. I'm not going to lose this, but it
Bro,
does
you're
kind
making
of feel like
moves.
Monopoly money sometimes.
You're making moves, sir.
Well, listen,
Those are great cards, man.
thank you. And like I said, man, like what it came down to is these two guys that came up to me at a show in February, and they're like, I like those 4 cards. We're gonna do a lap around the show. And the show was mobbed. It was a big show, probably like 150 dealers, They said, we're gonna make a lap around. We're gonna come back. Let us know what the best you can do on those cards cash. And I'm like all I could think about is like, so like when people see a card like this, they only see this card. They don't know the massive iceberg of moves and
Yeah.
hours and that went into accumulating a card like that. So when these guys offered me 28K for those 4 cards, like it really felt like I was giving up a child. It was like, like these are my babies, like, and these guys just want to like take it from me and almost slap me in the face with a disrespectful offer. But then I thought to myself, well, no one else made me that offer today, so I can't be mad at the offer. And then
Yeah.
I started to think, do I have that much faith in what I could do with this money that I would move these cards at 75% of comps? And what would I rather have, 75% cash or these cards? What do I believe in more? And I said, you know what? I think I'm gonna make a risk here. I think I'm gonna take a risk. And everything that I've worked hard for in this hobby for the last 18 months, I think I'm gonna sell. And I'm gonna start fresh.
That's a strategy, man. Let me ask you this question. What do you have a card in mind that you're working toward? That you like, yeah, I would like to get to that card one day.
I do. And I haven't put it out there, FD, but you know what?
You
I'm
don't
gonna
have
put
to.
it out.
You don't have
No,
to.
I'm going to. I'm going to because
Okay.
I think I need. I believe so strongly in the law of attraction, and I truly believe that. And I believe in this content, man. I believe in guys like you that are out there creating content because when I'm at shows, I get approached by people and they're like, "Good content, man. Keep it up." So I believe in this. So the card I am going after is the 2003 LeBron James rookie auto Ultimate Collection vertical.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar with that card?
Oh yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's numbered out of 250.
Mhm.
Numbered out of 250. So I mean, you know, the exquisite RPAs and stuff, those are just cards that are just way too far to reach. They're $500,000 to $3 million
Yeah, they're out there.
cards, you know. But if you start to think about what's a card that's up there now that might have the possibility to go and make it to maybe a $500,000 card one day, I think it could be that Ultimate Collection auto vertical LeBron James. And I'm really kicking myself for it because there was someone just recently. So first of all, if you look on eBay, there's two available. One's going for $500,000 and one's going for $250,000.
Yeah, I'm going there
But
right now.
yeah, but there wasn't. So I think now they're valued around between 100 and 200,000. Those cards.
So
But they're
definitely you going for PSA 10.
no, the tens I believe are tens are what, maybe 250 in value. I don't know.
A
I'd have
little,
to
a
look
little
on
bit
like
north of 250.
yeah. So there was a guy recently who I know somewhat locally that had an SGC9. He only wanted 50 for it. And I was ready to
What was the
go
grade on that card? Was it a raw card? Or grade?
SGC9.
Okay,
SGC9. And SGC, man, that's a tough grade.
that is a tough grade.
Even
And I
even if
like
that
this comment here by Baker Boy. We all know LeBron's car is in the dip right now, right?
Baker Boy, shout out to Baker Boy because he's absolutely correct.
Absolutely right. This was
LeBron,
the first thing that came to my head when you said LeBron.
man, I am buying the dip. I am listen, and that's what I'm thinking, man. Like he is on like this strange historical dip, and I
He
I
is.
I have absolute faith that it will recover. I think
Oh, it will.
I think a lot of it just has to do with him going to the Lakers and people just rooting so hard against him and the Lakers just being terrible this year and just everything. So yeah, uh, 100%. So when this guy had an SGC9 for 50, he told me, I offered him the John Morant RPA. Plus, I told him I'd give him cash. Now, Card Ladder had this, and this was just like 2 weeks ago. Card Ladder had this John Morant at exactly 35K value because a card like a card that's like numbered out of 49 in RPA, they're impossible to value because it's like they
Oh, yeah.
rarely
Only
ever
so many.
sell.
They only move so much. Yeah.
Exactly. And especially now in a playoff hunt, you got to look at what his market is doing as a whole, not what the last comp was. So Card Ladder had it valued at 35. And I said to him, I go, listen, I'll give you the John Morant 15K. I thought that was a very fair deal considering I just got 35K for the John Morant and Hofstra. And he said, no, I'm only valuing the John Morant at about 15. I'm like, what?
Oh no, does he deal with modern? Is he in modern
Oh
basketball?
yeah, no, he knows what he's doing, but this is someone that does this for a living. So, and to me, I think, at least in my experience, there is a difference with people that do it for a hobby, that do it competitively for a hobby,
Mhm.
but then there's a difference between people that do it for a business and
Oh yes, sir.
people that do this for their livelihood. I have had not the best experiences with. I like if I'm doing a deal with someone and it feels like they have to get the better of the deal, like there's no such thing as an even deal for them. They have to get the better. That leaves a bad taste in my mouth and it takes away from the fun of what we're doing. So that's the vibe I got from this gentleman. I'm not going to say who it was, but
No, don't say who.
yeah, but so I was really upset because I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever
But
gonna
you,
have
but you know what I think, Rob?
What?
Right? That's your card, man. That card is coming back to you. Don't worry about it.
FD, my guy.
Don't worry about
FD.
it. I tell people all the time, if you put the work in and you understand everything surrounding this card, that's your card. It's gonna
Yeah.
come to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate you, man. Thank you. But yeah, that's kind of my plan, right? My plan is so what I did was I turned so I got 28K from the big card, two cards, and I ended up spending 24K on those two cards, right? I turned that 24K into about 48K within about 6 weeks. So now I have between 50 and 60K cash cards, whatever the case. I am going so all in on rookie RPAs, basically three guys, four guys, Mahomes, Herbert, Josh Allen, Kyler. I am going so hard with these guys, and hopefully I'm gonna be able to cash out at National, because were you at National last year?
Yes.
Yeah. And likewise, and man, football was so hot.
It
And
was.
even the players that I thought the hobby was kind of done with, like Lamar Jackson, like I'm like, oh, no one wants Lamar. Like I went to National and Lamar was one of the hottest players I felt like there. And it was like, so it really opened up my mind that like if you are a top 7 to 10 quarterback, your market is going to be on fire in July and August, probably.
Yep.
So I'm hoping to go all in with these football cards and hopefully leave National with nothing but money and buy myself that LeBron card. That's my goal. I'm putting it out there.
You're gonna have it, sir.
FD, man, I appreciate you, man. I do.
Oh, I've never known a person who doesn't build that strategy, work it. You're leveling yourself up by making good decisions, and it doesn't happen. I've never seen that. Not happen.
Yeah.
I can't wait till you send me a picture and be like, bro.
Well, listen, man. We're definitely going to have to link up at National, even if it's for 30 seconds, just to get a quick pick together. We're definitely gonna have to link up, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So
Yeah.
before you go here,
Yeah.
what other shows do you travel to?
So I have, I have a young daughter at home, so I try not to travel. I try not to travel. So my daughter turns 2 in June. I have a son on the way. He'll be here in July. So
Congratulations.
thank you, appreciate that, man. So at time of National, I'm gonna have like a 2-week-old at home. So and I have table space for the entire thing to set up. Like I already paid for my spot and everything. So but I'm probably just gonna set up the busiest day of the show, which is probably gonna be Saturday. So I'll be there Saturday, set up, and hopefully, just selling a ton. I'm gonna, have my sports card therapist banner. Hopefully I'll be able to see some people. I'm definitely gonna try to walk the floor a little bit, but I know I was there for 3 days last year and I don't think I saw everything. So,
The
it's just,
show is huge. I mean, even in 3 days, you can't. It's very difficult to see everything. You got to really just be walking around. If you stop and really get into some conversation or something, negotiate something, you're not seeing the whole show.
No, yeah, you literally have to power walk. And the thing is with National, it's like you will always see things that you've never seen before. You'll always see cards that you've never seen before, and yeah, so unbelievable. And Hero 3 thinks that LeBron will not go down as a top tier player. Are you kidding me? He was just
I don't think I agree with that. I know some people think I'm hard on LeBron, but I think this is what I think now. I'll tell you what I think. I think when he gets through playing, he's gonna have Kareem's record. And when he's finished playing, his after basketball endeavors are going to affect his card prices in a positive trend.
I hope so. He's done so much, man. I mean, outside of the sport, he has done so much for the community. He's done so much for just trying to push equal rights and positivity. Like, how could you be mad at that? Like, come on, man. Like, the guy not only dedicates his life to his body and playing sports, but he's also out there building schools and trying to do everything he can to make sure that things in society are on an equal playing field. Like, the guy is amazing.
All I can say is this: is that I see a downward trend in his. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking. I see a downward trend in his cards. I think this is the time to buy LeBron. The card that you're talking about, this is the best time to get that card. There are some LeBron cards that I've looked at that I'm very much interested in, and I
What are
plan.
you looking at? What do you, even LeBron aside, what card do you have that you're like, I haven't been able to get it, but when I get it, I'm tapping out? No, I know you're not tapping out, but
I'm not tapping out, bro.
no, I
No,
know. What's the card though, FD?
We're tapping in. I know you like that. Like recently, I just purchased a Stargate Kobe rookie card, and it's a card that I thought I would never find, really. And we know what the prices of that card was 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Like I was at a show and that card was $12,000
Wow.
not that long ago, and I didn't pay anything like that.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, people can let this time frame just zoom by them, but I think this is a time to, and I don't really even talk about this a lot, but it's a time to really look at what investments you want to make, or what buys you want to make, or what potential flips. We've talked about 4 or 6 weeks. You've made moves, and the market is speaking in your situation, right? You're giving evidence of that this down market is still producing wins.
Yeah.
So if people are paying attention to that, they have no problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congrats on that Kobe card. So is it safe to say Kobe is your guy?
No.
Who's your guy?
I picked up some Curry stuff in the past. Rob, I look for certain players, man. I don't think I really have. I was in a conversation at the show on the premiere show here in LA on Saturday, and someone asked me that. And I said, I don't have a PC person that's like, this is my PC, this is who I collect. I'm looking for certain players with certain talent levels in football, basketball, baseball, and then I'm trying to make a move on that.
Yeah.
But I bought several Curry cards. I purchased them for some rookies. But that Kobe card is something that I've always looked at and said that probably never happened. And there's going to be other cards that I'm going to look at and say, that'll probably never happen. And then at some point in a year to 3, 4, 5 years from now, I'm going to start making some moves where we're going to consolidate some of these cards and then try to really move to another level.
Yeah. And that's absolutely, and I, oh man, it's already after 10. I gotta wrap up in a moment. But
Okay.
that is really the message that I know what my goal was at the beginning of this year, 4 or 5 months ago. I said the 2 phrases that I am going to do this year is consolidate and level up. And and I don't want to have cards just to have them. Like I need them to have a purpose, and whether if it's to help get me to where I want to get to, or if it's strictly for my PC. And one thing I've realized is that my PC and what strictly, the thing is, it's like, a lot of times for me, my cards are almost like groceries in the cabinet. Like they need to be rotated out. Like sometimes things feel like they're getting stale. So I need to move things to make rooms for other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I know that before we go, I'll tell you this. My scope was a little broader 9 months ago, 12 months ago. I've really narrowed down on what am I looking for. And it's got to hit certain check boxes that I've talked about in the past. And if it does, then I'm interested. If it doesn't, that's a card for somebody else. I can appreciate why they want that card, but that's not a card for FD. I got to keep it moving, man. We got to keep rolling.
FD, man, listen, it was a pleasure having you on.
Rob, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no, likewise. And if you're up for it, I would love to have you on my pod soon.
Most definitely. You do. We'll shoot some dates back and forth. You let me know.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, we're going to have you back in the future, man.
I appreciate that, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate your viewers. Hopefully it was it was entertaining to them or educational, one or the other, maybe both.
One or the other, right?
Exactly. But FD, man, seriously, I just to give you your flowers, man. I see what you're doing, and I see the brand that you're building, and it's great, man. It's phenomenal. So just keep doing what you're doing. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
you
sir.
for sure.
I appreciate that. I
All right.
appreciate
All
that.
right.
Brother,
Thank you,
you have a
man.
good one. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
All right. Be
Everybody
safe.
out there, thank you for being here.
Thank you.